Here are the top 3 things I notice expats fail at, and it can cost them a lot in business in the Philippines. Hey everyone, so I have to do some banking for the company. Gotta take care of some stuff. But I just had a thought that, I go through here all the time, and maybe this will help you if you're doing business in the Philippines. This will help you run better teams and maybe lead better as a foreigner, expat, Philippine American, but like mine doing business here in the Philippines. I have identified around 3 things that, although seems common to a Westerner, needs to be said to a Filipino. And hopefully this helps and gives you value. Like the video and share the video. So I've known, because I had a recent talk with one of the teams I assist in managing, is that there's a sense of indecisiveness, lack of action, and a disconnect in communication. And that can translate to not caring about the job. So let me try to address them. Address those 3 in a concise way so I can wrap this up. Try to get my thoughts out. So the indecisiveness. So, here in the Philippines, when things need to be made, because many of the people here are in survival mode, Filipinos are more than capable of doing it. But I asked the team, like, why do you guys come off indecisive when the time really, it really matters? So maybe 1 and 2 is kind of the same, wrapped up in the same, but let me try to be as concise as possible. So the indecisiveness, so I got answers like, we're afraid that we're going to make a mistake. We're going to get reprimanded. And we got into more of a deeper discussion as to, here in the BPO industry, the call center industry, or even life here, because of the hierarchy, you are almost trained to never question the people above you and just shut up and take it as is. It's like one of those things where even if your bosses or your leaders in your family don't follow what they preach, you better just go on with the flow and then go. And this is a problem, especially in business, especially if you are relying on this remote worker to do the best they can with their capacity and tasks to get the job done. There is to a good degree, I guess, in my generation, it might be a generational thing as well, that you ask questions. You ask questions, and if you have a really supportive company, you commit to making a decision that you believe is the best decision at that point in time. But at the same time, if you do make a mistake, you get talked to in a way that is like, what? To get the thought process out, why did you do this? What was the thought process there? And it's usually, don't make that mistake again, because, either it costs us money or it had a negative impact on the business. So I've had those talks before with my leaders, my former managers and everything like that. Just don't make the mistake twice or 3 times, because then, twice is somewhat forgivable. 3 times, to some degree, you haven't learned. You are doing it on purpose at some point now, because you're not cognizant of what you're doing at that point. So here, because of the fear of being written up, the indecisiveness really gets magnified, because it's like, well, I might know the answer, but which kind of goes into my second point. I might know the answer, and I'm afraid to open up, so I'm just not going to act on it, and I'm just not going to pull the trigger. So I explained to the teams, and there's multiple teams that I speak with from time to time. I'm like, what's worse? You knowing it and not committing or telling anyone that this might be a problem, or you saying it or trying something out to remedy it or fix it, pacify it or whatever, and then potentially effing up and then learning from it. So as I know, Filipinos know that answer. They'll tell me, "Oh, you should say them something first." So I said, why doesn't that translate into the professional world, the professional life? Because many of you guys are in survival mode. without trying to offend them. Like, you guys are in survival mode. You guys make decisions all the time. Many of you guys are breadwinners. You guys make these huge decisions for the family because you might be the one. You guys make decisions, these big boy decisions, big girl decisions. Why doesn't it translate? Simply, we're just afraid to get ran up or reprimanded. But is it fair in saying that you have messed up to some degree and you understand your client that they are forgiving, given that it's a nuanced problem or it's your first time encountering this, but you just decided with all the resources and you've exhausted all of those resources that, this is the decision I made and I'm just going to pull the trigger and go. And many of them say, yeah, we know to some degree that it's that. Number one, we don't want to see, another thing is, we don't want to seem like we're incompetent, so we just try our best to just make do. But I said that's still the wrong approach, which leads me to like my second one, which is lack of action. So it's like I had to pose a question because the CEO was like, you know what, Gil, ask him this, like, if there was a family member that was in trouble, maybe in the hospital or whatever in your life, what would you do to talk to that person or to get in touch with that person? Let's say after person number one says, I can't get in touch with them. Person number 5 says, I still haven't got in touch with them. What would you do? An employee said, I'll just get up and go because I need to understand what's happening. That's exactly the extent of a resourceful, exhaustion, like resource exhaustion you need to practice in here. And that might be calling your manager at 3 a.m. to get clarifying answers on things that you can't get clarification on. Now, why do you lack that action? I don't want to disturb them. I don't want to this. Ultimately, it's that to some extent. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to seem incompetent. Like that goes out the window because you're going to lose the account and just for the sake of your dignity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the third one is like a disconnect in communication. Like it might be all wrapped up in one, to be honest with you. But these are 3 things that I've identified that can definitely make or break the relationship between the remote worker, the outsourced worker, and the client, or just this can be applied. It's not even in the Philippines. This is basically generationally, it can be applied to anything at the end of the day. But I'm saying, like, the disconnect of communication is, knowing that you know the facts and you know that it might mess up. Why not bring it up, right? Why not? Because you've identified it, obviously, right? Or if it needs clarification, why just not say, hey, listen, can you repeat that again? Because I'm still not clear with it. And unfortunately, some local Filipinos here, they would rather ask their friend than ask their immediate superior as to more clarification questions, because honestly, they don't want to seem incompetent. They don't want to seem like they're a burden, and they don't want to seem like they don't know what the hell they're doing, because reputation and what people think of them is a very big thing here. And once again, I threw back at them as in, what's worse? You knowing that it can go left really quickly, or is there something that it's off even with you? You're not 100% with it, and you just need more questions answered. Well, what's worse? The F up happening and then you get questioned, or because the assumption is that you understood, or you asking way before anything happened and foregoing the oh, I might look stupid vibe. And obviously they know the answer, and they all know the answer. I'm like, okay, why does that transition into your relationship with your client, with your higher up? And I believe it was a very very productive conversation, to be honest with you. And these are things I deal with all the time to try to bring that cohesion amongst these teams. Because to be honest with you, on the American side of things, or the client side of things, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes these outsourced workers are just an item line, an expense line to hopefully save some money on their books. So on the Philippine side of things, I'm like, you do everything you can to build cohesion with your person, because not to try to go on a tirade, I tell them all the time that this whole entire exercise of getting work, especially as a remote worker, it's like being married. It's like being married. You can't expect a marriage to be fruitful, a relationship to be fruitful, or just a relationship if you don't communicate. Because at the end of the day, these interactions, it's all human beings doing this anyway. It's not like your boss is a robot. So it's like this. I use this as an example. Like, do you remember? I asked the people here. Do you remember the best experience you've ever had at a restaurant? And I let them name those experiences. And I said, what outside of the food, what really reeled you in and really made you feel valuable? And a lot of them will say, because like, oh, they made me feel like I was a VIP. They made me feel like I was the only one there. Like it made me feel like home, right? So I'm like, this is how you need to treat your clients. You really need to go above and beyond. So they're like, you know what? Even if John or whoever messes up from time to time, they're a lot more forgiving because they know you give it your best. You give it 100% all the time. Versus the guy who's like, let's say a waiter who's an a-hole, just doesn't pay you any mind, is just there, just like, you know those types, just like, you don't even want to be here. You're readily available to either obviously not tip them or not just not feel good about it. And that's basically how I explain to them here. This is that client outsourced person and that relationship, because I do my check-ins with the clients and everything like that, but I can't be with them every single day. So I give them tips as to building that rapport, because we're all human at the end of the day, right? And at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, I want to protect the reputation of the Filipinos, because at the end of the day, they to be honest with you, sometimes they get the shit end of the stick. They do. I'll be honest with you. Or there's this, not all clients, obviously. Some clients are like, you know what? I'm paying them X amount of money. I'm trying to save money. Or people within your organization, they shove a lot of work down to them that they won't even be able to do it stateside. Thinking like, oh, you know what? It's all it's a pretty bad setup for certain clients. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't interact with them in a way where they're in the office. They don't see if they're overwhelmed. You know what I'm saying? And some clients, thankfully, none of our clients are like this. But some clients I heard from amongst friends and colleagues that are in this industry, some clients are very like, you know what? I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Shove all the work on the Filipino, and then expect that it'll be a level like crazy level work when it's like doing like 3 jobs for one person or 4 jobs for one person sometimes. That's all I'm saying. I have to try to best to build that cohesion amongst the Filipino side and the American side of things, and to some degree synergistically blend the two cultures together in some sense of understanding and some sense of that human, that human touch to it, rather than you're just an item line on my spreadsheet of expenses and that's it. Yeah. So those are my 3 things that I've identified that can make or break relationships, the outsourced relationships here. So it's the indecisiveness, the lack of action, and the disconnect of communication. If you need some sense of coaching for your teams, and maybe in any consultations for some of your leadership team here in the Philippines, if you need me, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help as best as I can with whatever little capacity I have. But I'll do my best to assist you if you're having issues here in the Philippines. Understanding your team, or just trying to push through as to how to motivate this team intrinsically. I might be your guy. But nonetheless, Take care. God bless. Thank you for your time. Thank you for our little short drive here together. I am facing traffic right now. Check that out. This is afternoon traffic right now. But okay. But it is what it is. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm in that mode where I'm good, man. I am. I'm just grateful for life. I'm grateful for things that are in my life. Grateful for the things that the rewards I get in my life. Not material rewards, but a lot more than that. But take care. God bless.